Welcome to Boxing Predictions for a roundup of the action scheduled to take place on Saturday, February the 24th, 2018. So in this video, we're going to be going through that schedule, just letting you know what fights are scheduled to take place, some of the things that have caught my eye, with a little bit of comment on those fights. So if you're new to this channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And as always, jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you think about the fights that are scheduled to take place. What are your predictions? Who are you picking? So this week on the channel, it's been predominantly focused on the World Boxing Super Series. We spoke about Chris Eubank and whether he should retire in the aftermath of that Nazim Hamid outburst after George Groves, fairly comfortably defeated him. We spoke about that. We also spoke about the World Boxing Super Series semi-final for this week, Smith versus Holzken. We spoke about that in a bit of detail, and we spoke about the situation surrounding it. And then we also jumped a little bit further afield, a little bit more into the future, and we discussed the rematch between Tony Bellew and David Haye, and we had a lot of fun talking about that fight. So if you want to check those out, jump to the channel. We've also got numerous prediction videos up for fights scheduled to take place. Okay, we're talking Billy Joe Saunders and Martin Murray. We're talking about Hugh Fury and Sam Sexton, Horn Crawford, Povetkin Price, Wyatt Browne, Brook versus Lomachenko, which is next week. We've also got the big ones, the big heavyweight battles between Wilder and Ortiz, and of course Joshua and Parker. So if you're interested in any of those fights, jump to the channel and check them out. So let's talk about the schedule, and the schedule is for Saturday the 24th of February 2018. Now it's a relatively quiet one, I'll be straight up honest with you, and because of that, something caught my eye when I was looking through the schedule. And that is a card that's taking place in Australia, Queensland, at the Fortitude Stadium. Okay, and it's not a big card, but there's one person scheduled to take to compete in this, and this is at heavyweight, and it's a debut, and the opponent's name is Moo Attack. What an amazing name. Now, if anyone that's watching this video knows anything about Moo Attack, let me know. Jump down to the comment section and give me the details about Moo Attack. Love to know, and I'd love to see what happens with that fight, see whether he's got a future in the sport. So what else have we got on the actual schedule? Now probably one of the biggest cards of the evening is taking place in Nuremberg, Germany, and this is the World Boxing Super Series semi-final in the super middleweight division. We've got Callum Smith fighting a late replacement in Nicky Holzken. As I said on the channel, we kind of spoke about this in a little bit more depth, and it's disappointing that an alternate substitute fight has come in, in the fight week. And it's a shame for Callum Smith. It's a shame for the tournament, to be perfectly honest, to bring in this guy. And now we spoke about this guy that he's somewhat unknown because he's a professional kickboxer with a phenomenal record in that sport. And he has limited experience or limited opposition to date in his 3-year boxing career. So, he's a little bit of the unknown. And, as I always say, late notice opposition is rarely a walkover. It poses new questions. So, whilst we would expect Callum Smith to be victorious in this, okay, on the undercard, there's a mixture of kind of really unexciting fights really, and I guess there was obviously a lot of super middleweights that were potential alternates and substitutes for this card, and their fights have been rearranged and mixed up. The only kind of standout fight that is on this undercard is Filip Hrgović, and he is a heavyweight prospect, 3-0, and he's someone that a lot of people are very excited by. Olympian, competed in the same Olympics, the Olympics that we just saw just a few years ago, where we saw Joe Joyce and we saw Tony Yoka compete and medal, and Hrgović was the bronze medalist, and he's a decent operator. He looks to be someone who's going to cause a lot of waves, and he's someone that we can get excited about competing for those big straps. Maybe in a few years' time. We'll have to wait and see. But be interesting to see how he gets on against Sean Turner. We would expect him to be victorious. So what else have we got? Anything else that is standing out? So in the UK. We have got a fight card at York Hall, Bethnal Green. This is a Frank Warren promoted event, and it's got a couple of very good prospects here, and prospects that he's had on other cards over the course of the last 12 months. And this is obviously why this event is taking place at York Hall, because there isn't really the showpiece fighter, the finished fighter to kind of headline the event. It obviously is going to be headlined by Anthony Yarde, and he is competing against the French opponent Tony Avalon, and you'd expect him to come through that fairly comprehensively. I mean, he's been very eye-catching over the course of the last 12 months, and I'm sure that Frank Warren has got a lot invested in him, because he's 14-0 and can only be a couple of fights away from probably getting quite a decent fight that could lead to possible title contention. On the card, we've also got Zelfa Barra competing for some regional title against Ronnie Clark. Again, another undefeated prospect who is just probably a fight away from a bigger domestic fight, and I'm sure that in the next Frank Warren card, he'll jump up and possibly compete for the domestic honours. We've also got a couple of heavyweights. We love the heavyweights. We've got Daniel Dubois competing against D.L. Jones. Now, Daniel Dubois, he is, he's not the finished article, but what he is he's an absolute beast, and he has crazy power, and he's had some quite devastating knockouts in his short career, 6-0, and he looks to be someone that, with the right guidance, the right training, could go all the way. We'd expect him to stop D.L. Jones in devastating fashion again. Now, also scheduled is Nathan Gorman. Now, it doesn't say who the opponent is as of yet. I tried to find out who he was fighting, but I wasn't able to find out for recording this. But again, he's another undefeated heavyweight, 11-0, another big guy. I think they made it in the press conference. There was a lot of talk about, potentially Gorman and Dubois fighting later down the line. They had sparred 200 times, 200 rounds or whatever, so they're very familiar with each other. So it will be interesting to see whether we do get some half decent domestic scraps there. But as there is no announced opponent for Nathan Gorman, you'd expect it to be pretty easy, and maybe they've just put him on the card for the purpose of bigging up a potential fight with Dubois later in the year. Now we've got some cards out in the USA, one of which has got quite a few world titles on the line at the lower weights. So that's going to be something that a lot of people will be somewhat interested in California, if you're into the old flyweights. I also noticed that on Sunday Joe Murray is competing against Lewis Ritson, I think, if I remember rightly. Lewis Ritson. So that'll be a good scrap on Sunday between two skillful operators. Now it's a Eddie Hearn show. I think it's live on Sky. So he's been trying to desperately fulfill the dates that he has signed up for when he hasn't quite had the shows to put on. We saw that with the Okolie Chamberlain fight just a couple of weeks ago. This is probably in the same vein. But anyway, so as I say, it's not the most jam-packed of weeks. The biggest card is probably out in Germany, and it's kind of a very weak one. It's probably the weakest and most disappointing card that Sauerland and the World Boxing Super Series have actually put on. But anyway, we move on. There's a lot of big fights coming next week. Obviously, March the 3rd is an absolute beast in the boxing calendar. What we've got both in the USA and the UK. I mean, there are some huge fights that are not only just huge, but there's also fights that will lead to huge fights. Okay, so there's big stories brewing. Big stories brewing on March 3rd, and we'll be talking about that next week. So let me know in the comment section what you think about the fights that are on offer this week. Is it a good week? Is it a poor week? Let me know in the comment section below, and remember to hit the subscribe button.